It's been a while, but the family vacationer is back. We know the world's gone a little crazy since you've heard from us last. Everyone's life lately has been impacted in big and small ways, with travel being one of those ways. Well, today we're going to talk about rescheduling, cancellation, and more next.
Welcome to the Family Vacationer with Rob and Danny. The go-to podcast for families on the move.
Welcome, friends. This is the Family Vacationer, and to say that it's a difficult time is a little bit of an understatement. Between the constant bad news, the spread of the virus, and people losing their jobs, it's been difficult to get your head around what's going on because, quite frankly, none of us have ever lived through anything like this. And it's obviously not a time to talk about fun places to travel, and we're not going to do that right now. Most, if not all, places have a close sign out front anyway. But what we do want to do, we realize many of you had travel plans during this period, and you may have questions on what to do or where to turn for answers. That confusion is one reason we wanted to do this particular podcast. Before I could even start working on the show, I got an alert from our local TV newsroom with the headline, "Have plans to go to Disney World soon? You may want to rethink that." And I understand news outlets are going for the clickbait, but it causes more confusion and concern. Disney announced last week that Disney World and Disneyland are closed indefinitely. Considering Disney has only closed either park a handful of times, the word indefinitely can seem scary. The reality is a company like Disney is going to need to have a measured reopening plan and make sure that it takes into account the best information on whether or not it's safe to open. Every tourist destination, every single one of them right now is having the same discussion. When can we open? Some are being overly optimistic and throwing out dates a week, 2 weeks away, and then some have pushed back into the summer and beyond. And it'd be next to impossible for us to run down every cancellation policy for every tourist destination, but what we do want to do is help you as much as we possibly can. If you have a question that's not answered on today's show, please feel free to reach out to me at rob@thefamilyvacationer.live, and I'll do my very best to get you an answer. You guys, please understand that travel vendors and travel agents are working as hard as possible right now to help everyone. Just as an FYI, most travel agents don't get their commission until well after you've checked out of your hotel on the last day of your vacation. So needless to say, most agents right now are working for you knowing that they probably won't get paid for a while if you reschedule, or not at all if you cancel. Not that that should impact your plans at all. I just wanted to give you a little background as to what's going on. All right, without further delay, let's bring in my partner in crime, Danny. Danny and I are both bunkered in our respective homes, and Danny's joining me right now through Skype. So you may notice a little change in the audio from what you're used to on the Family Vacationer. It may be like this for some future episodes as well. But Danny, how are you, sir?
Good. How's it going, Rob?
It's good. It's good. You got all your toilet paper and Purell in your, have you hoarded all that?
Man, we didn't hoard anything. You know, we've not even bought toilet paper since before this all started, and we still have some.
Well, I purchased a bidet, and that's too much information, but best best $20 I ever spent. So,
but you know, man, believe it or not, we have actually done something crazy. We go to the grocery store and we buy only what we need.
Shut up.
And we wash our hands. I know it's just crazy, but that's how we
have you not watched Hoarders? Do you not know how this works?
I've been watching Hoarders, and that's why I only buy what I need.
Well, Dan, I understand that you had to cancel a trip recently during all this. So let's start off talking about your experience a little bit.
Yeah, I was supposed to be in California first week of April. And I don't know about you, but I am an Airbnb fan. So I had booked myself an Airbnb in Northern California, and I was going to be flying into Eureka. Have you ever heard of Eureka Arcata?
I have not. There was a TV show, Eureka, I think, on Sci-Fi. I don't know. I'm showing my inner nerd. No, I have not.
Yeah, well, okay. So it is the closest to the city where I was going. And funny thing is, United Airlines is the only ones that seem to fly into this airport.
Right.
So I have flown there hundreds of times. There's no telling. But I really don't have a lot of experience with United Airlines. So this was a new experience for me. I don't have any bad information on them. It was like a wait and see thing. So I will say this, and you know, just giving them a little plug. When I went to book my trip, I believe it was January 1st, and I was able to book it very easily on their website. Everything was just easy to do, and got a good price. Well, all this came up, and the lady that owns the home where I was going to be staying through the Airbnb, she's a senior citizen widow, and I totally understand. She shot me a message. She said, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to have to cancel." And I understand, because there's no point in risking your health, especially as a senior citizen.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
but I was kind of left, going, all right, what do I do? Okay, so making a short story long,
that's what we do here at the Family Vacationer.
That's what we do, the Family Vacation. I went to United's website, and I was very, very happy with the fact that there's no fee to change. You can do whatever you need to do, and there's really no fee involved.
Right.
Now, my absolute ideal time to go to this particular town would be October. So I began to rethink, and I said, hey, what about October if it's going to work now? I was able to switch all my flights in just a few clicks. And not only did it not cost me more, I ended up with $120 price difference in my favor, which is being returned to me. Now, so good job, United Airlines, man. It was so easy. And from everything I saw, they weren't going to charge me no matter when I rebooked it to go. So, and okay, now let's talk about the Airbnb. You have to deal with Airbnb rules. You also have to deal with host. But I canceled it. And of course, here you go. You've got this, there are no fees to cancel your Airbnb right now. And I'll just go ahead and tell you, they're offering guests full refunds right now. Hosts are getting no charge cancellations if you for reservations booked on or before March 14th and with a check-in date of April 14th or earlier. So Airbnb is making this easy, but also my host said, I told her, I said, look, I'm going to have a credit on my credit card, and if I'm waiting until the fall to rebook this, that credit's going to be eaten up with something else.
Yeah, easily.
So I asked her, I said, can I go ahead and rebook it now? And she said, absolutely. And so therefore my credit went to what I wanted it to go to. And she said, if things are crazy in October, we'll cancel it again. But, none of us think that things are going to be crazy in October. This is going to be long over with. So
let's cross our fingers.
That if you're, and I'm finding that with, I'm supposed to be in Costa Rica very beginning of June. And it looks like Southwest is doing everything they can to accommodate people as well. So I hope that's a little bit of an encouragement to people out there.
Well, one of the first questions that people that have travel plans right now are asking, do I want to cancel or do I want to reschedule?
Uh-huh.
And many of the vendors are offering some incentives to reschedule instead of canceling.
Right.
Royal Caribbean on the cruise side right now, for example, they're offering you the ability to cancel your cruise up to 48 hours before the cruise and get a full cruise credit on any cruise that leaves on or before July 31st, 2020. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a cruise scheduled between now and July 31st, 2020, you can cancel up to 48 hours before the cruise and get a full cruise credit. And they're also giving you 125% of what you've paid towards a rescheduled date if your cruise is in that zone. So you have until December of 2021 to take that rescheduled cruise, and they're calling it their Cruise with Confidence plan. Now, keep in mind, if you reschedule and the cruise that you want to take in the future is more than the cruise, your future cruise credit, you're going to have to pay the difference. If the cruise you select is cheaper than the cruise that you've paid for, then you'll be issued another future cruise credit. I'm loving saying that a bunch. With the difference between the cruise you originally booked and the cruise you decide to take with your rebooking. So, if the cruise is cheaper, then you're going to be issued a new future cruise credit with that difference. And you can use that towards excursions. You can use that towards another cruise, whatever you want to do with it. So
the excursions are great. We loved our excursions with Royal. So.
Oh, man. Yes. The first cruise that I ever took, I took with my parents, and they didn't want to spend a lot of money. We didn't do any any excursions, and it's really a completely different experience when you do an excursion versus not. But some people that you know very well, for example, are perfectly fine staying on the ship. They don't want an excursion. So they're totally fine with it. But keeping it in the cruise industry, Norwegian is offering what they're calling peace of mind and letting you cancel up until 24 hours before your scheduled departure on cruises that run through September of 2019. And they're giving you until December 2022 to take your rescheduled cruise. So bear with me. This is going to be a lot of information. So hit rewind if you need to on the podcast. But for all cruises, October 1st and beyond, you can cancel for a full refund up to 120 days before your cruise. Guests who are booked on suspended cruises with travel dates from March 13th through April 11th, 2020 will automatically receive 125% or 150% refund, which turns out to be a future cruise credit. And you can apply that towards any cruise through December 31st, 2022. The future cruise credit will be applied to your account by April 1st, 2020. So the way this breaks down, if you were booked on a cruise from March 13th to March 17th, you're going to get that 150% future cruise credit. 100% of what you paid for the cruise plus 50%. Wow. Guests who were booked on suspended cruises with a travel date from March 17th through April 11th, 2020 are automatically going to receive 125% future cruise credit. And again, those will be applied to your account by April 1st, 2020. Additionally, Norwegian is given a 20% discount if you book using your future cruise credit by April 20th of 2020 for cruises that leave July 1st, 2020 through December 31st, sorry. So that's some good stuff between Royal Caribbean and Norwegian.
Okay, well, my first thought was Carnival. Lots and lots of people are big fans. How are they handling all of this?
Well, Dan, I'm glad you asked. Carnival, they're taking a pretty straightforward approach towards their sailings. So all of their ships between March 13th through April 9th and Carnival Spirit, April 10th and 20th, and Carnival Radiance, April 29th, May 9th, May 21st, May 30th, and June 11th. So if you're on any of those cruises, you have two options. If your cruise is 6 days or more, you're going to get 100% future cruise credit and, I don't have a drum roll, $600 onboard credit per stateroom, which is a pretty good deal.
That's pretty amazing.
Yep.
That is.
And again, you can use that towards a drink package, an excursion, but if your cruise is 5 days or less, you're going to get 100% future cruise credit and $300 in onboard credit per stateroom. Whew. Got all that?
Got it.
So both of these have to be booked by December 31st, 2020 for a sailing on or before December 31st, 2022. So the other option is even more straightforward. The other option is to cancel with a full refund of what you've paid. So again, it's what you've paid. So if you've only paid the first installment, you're not going to get a refund for the full cruise. Yeah. You would think that would be understood, but some people try to,
Yeah. Somebody will try to play the system. I know we're going to talk a little bit about Disney parks in a minute, but how have the Disney cruise lines been handling all this?
So as of right now, and again, understanding that this is a fluid situation and that things could change tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
But as of right now, as of this podcast, Disney Cruise Lines have suspended operations through April 12th, and they're offering a future cruise credit or 100% refund on money paid for those affected cruises. Now, Disney said they're reaching out directly to those affected. So if you've booked through a travel agent, Disney's going to reach out to your travel agent and give them the information. Or if you book directly through Disney, you can actually call 866-325-2112 and get information directly from Disney. Additionally, all guests that are departing on the Disney Magic between April 13th through May 8th, 2020, and on the Disney Dream, the Disney Fantasy, and the Disney Wonder between April 13th and May 31st, 2020, can change their reservation up until the day before the travel date and receive 100% cruise credit for a future sailing, and they get 15 months to do that from the original booking. Now, a little different with Disney. This credit is non-refundable, and standard prevailing rates apply. Again, meaning if your future cruise that you want to take is more expensive than the cruise that you've paid for, you've got to pay the difference. So let's move on to a popular family resorts chain, the Beaches Resorts. That's also Sandals as well. So what they've said is they're going to be calling their customers that have immediate travel reservations now, and they're going to work outward from there, meaning they're going to take care of guests that have immediate travel plans and then just work their way outward. They've actually shut off their incoming call number. They're contacting their customers directly.
And, I did a kind of a general scan of resorts as well, Cancun area, other places. And it looks like across the board, obviously they're suspending operations, but I've been looking at some of their policies in terms of how they're handling refunds or credits. And, obviously you need to check your personal vendor, but the policies are, from what I've seen, are relatively generous right now. Everybody talks about Club Med.
Do they say it that way?
They're offering 100% credit on land costs.
Club Med. Okay.
Yeah, you got to say Club Med. Yes. Or maybe if you're a member, you kind of say Club Med. I don't know, but people like me that can't afford it say Club Med. But they're doing 100% credit on land costs, and that's actually valid through April 30th, 2022, and 100% of your credit for your flights booked through Club Med, applicable for the same airline, obviously. But check the individual place you're dealing with, but it's seeming very generous under the circumstances.
Well, segue here we'll go back to Disney World, Disneyland. So at the moment, every Disney park across the globe is closed. I think Shanghai Disney is starting a phased reopening, but that's going to be a slow process from what I understand. In Disney's statement yesterday, bear with me here because it's going to be a little bit of information. Ticket holders with unexpired multi-day theme park tickets with unused days or date-specific theme park tickets with a valid use period beginning March 12th, 2020 through the end of the closure will automatically be extended to use any date through December 15th, 2020. So if you have a park ticket, just a dated park ticket, anytime between now and whenever the end of the closure is going to be, you can use that ticket until December 15th, 2020. Now, if you're unable to use that ticket by December 15th, you can put the ticket value towards the purchase of a ticket for a future date, which I think is great.
That is great.
Yep. If you've purchased tickets for Disney After Hours, Disney Villains After Hours, and or Disney Early Morning Magic from March 16th, 2020 through the end of the closure, you'll be immediately refunded on the credit card that you made those reservations. So if you have a room package, all change and cancellation fees will be waived on all arrivals through June 30th of 2020. Now, Disney says they're going to be providing more information soon on options for modifying and booking vacations. If you take no action on your reservation in that time, your reservation will be canceled and refunded within 7 days of the original check-in date. If you have dining or other experiences scheduled, those will be immediately refunded between March 16th and the end of the closure date. So if you've got dining scheduled through from March 16th through whenever the end of the closure is, they're going to immediately refund you that. So you don't even have to take action for that. Disneyland is offering some similar protections, understanding that they have 3 official resort hotels, so there's a lot less in the way of moving pieces there. But if you have a Disneyland reservation, contact your travel agent, or if you book directly through Disneyland, you can call 714-781-4636.
Okay, so Rob, what about the Universal fans? How are they operating right now?
Universal Studios Florida and Hollywood are currently closed as of now. Again, fluid situation, but as of now through April 19th, 2020. This includes the resort hotels at Universal Studios Florida and Universal City Walk at both locations. Ticket cancellations will go like this. Single-use tickets will be good for 365 days from the date you were scheduled to use the ticket. Multi-use tickets have the same 365-day promise, but still must be used within 7 days of the first use. Meaning, let's say you go April 20th. Let's say they open on the 20th, and you have a multi-day ticket package, and you go on the 20th. You can't then wait 365 days to use the remainder of your ticket package. You've got to still use all of your ticket within the first 7 days of that first use. So, although if you can't, for whatever reason, if you can't use the ticket within that 365-day allotment wholly, meaning you don't use any of it, you can apply that purchase price towards a future purchase. And also, if you have a booking between March 4th and May 1st, 2020, this qualifies you for what they're calling their stress-free booking, which allows you to modify or cancel your booking for no fee up to 24 hours before your scheduled arrival, which is awesome. And, definitely not something they do all the time. Universal Studios Hollywood is a little different. They don't have any Universal Studios resorts. We're just talking tickets here. If you have a booking from March 14th through April 19th, 2020, it'll be extended through December 18th of 2020. Now, if you can't use that ticket in that time, you can apply wholly unused tickets, meaning you haven't used any part of the tickets, towards a future purchase. If you have a ticket purchased for a date when the park is reopened and can't use it, you can also apply that towards a future purchase as well.
That's awesome. And everybody, the most important thing here to remember is that it's like Rob said, this is a very fluid situation still. Nobody knows what the future is going to hold in regards to when the ships are going to start sailing again, and resorts are going to start opening. But it's important to understand that the travel sector has really been ravaged by this virus, and you get so much more with people using kindness and understanding than you will being impatient and demanding. We've definitely seen that in our lives. So everybody in the industry is doing the best they can to take care of the travelers. And Rob's given you a lot of information on the cruise lines and the family resorts. But if there's something that we haven't talked about on this show, something you have questions on, you really need to contact Rob at thefamilyvacationer.live, and I guarantee he'll do the best that he can to get you those answers.
Yep, and this is true in life in general. You do get more. How does the saying go? You get more with honey than you do with salt. You have to understand that a lot of these people are just struggling to keep their jobs right now. There's so much going on in the way of cancellations, and with parks not being open, resorts not being opened. Just be kind. Just the kinder you are, I just think that's better for everyone. So that's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah, and most of the time you're talking to somebody, it's not their fault. If you're talking to somebody and there's a policy, they're not the ones that made the policy. Typically, they're just working there. So be kind.
Believe it or not, the people that answer the phone are not in charge of policy.
Exactly.
This is tough for some people to understand, but they are not.
That's right.
But, and I can't stress enough the need for cancel for any reason travel insurance on any vacation that you intend to take. And I get it. Nobody, me included, we do not want to buy travel insurance. Okay.
Right.
But the thing is, it's not just that you want to be able to walk away for any reason, although that's obviously now that's important,
right.
But it's, some of these travel insurance packages offer you the ability, let's say you're in the Bahamas and for whatever reason, you've got to be medevac to the U.S. Well, that's in a lot of these packages. So we're going to do a future podcast on exclusively travel insurance. Now I know nobody wants to hear that episode, but I think, especially now, given everything that's gone on, it's something that I think anyone that's traveling should listen to. So we're definitely we're gonna cover that. And I don't want to use a pandemic as an excuse to be self-serving, but I do think, given what we've seen in the industry right now with third-party travel companies like Book It, for example, just went out of business and left a lot of people stranded. Those are the kind of things where, and then a lot of people will use discount travel wholesalers, and that's fine. I totally get. You want value. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that, if something goes wrong, you've got an 800 number. You don't have an actual person. Whereas with a travel agent, you have an advocate. You have a actual person that you can use, you can lean on in times like this. Otherwise you're going to be on the phone for hours and hours and hours. And that, it's a frustrating experience. I get it.
Yeah, really.
With a travel agent, they're going to be your advocate. They're going to do that for you. So I think we'll probably do a future episode on reasons why, you need a travel agent. And that, again, that's going to be self-serving, but I think it's important for people to understand not only why they need a travel agent, but how travel agents get paid, where that money is generated, and understand the process a little better. And I think that'll give people, because I've booked folks in the past. I don't charge a fee for my services, and they're like, how do you get paid?
Yeah. Right.
So we're going to cover that. We're going to cover that in a future episode. We're going to use our experience, and I'm going to try to bring in an expert to kind of talk about what the travel world may look like after this is over. There will be you can't go through this as a world and expect to come out with everything being the same as it was when you started this journey that we've been on lately. So we've already seen some folks, like we mentioned, Book It go out of business. We're probably going to see some big names going out of business. So there's going to be some consolidation. There's going to be change in the industry. How that translates in for the public, that's something we're going to try to speculate on and just give you our best guessing. And nobody knows what it's going to look like, but using experience, we're going to try to predict what some things may look like, how some things will be a little different when we get back to normal, whatever normal is going to look like when we're done. So that's it for this episode. We want you guys to stay safe, stay home if possible, and please wash your hands.
Please.
All right, folks, till next time.
Thank you for listening to The Family Vacationer. Make sure and subscribe to hear more of Rob and Danny.
Please have recorded.